Green Production by Fabian Solis. This is the name of my apocalyptic garden. For my background, I was looking for a prototype that was simple to make but very effective. And this is because in an apocalyptic situation or a surviving situation, you cannot afford investing beans that you need to eat on something that won't work. To you need to know that that will work for because that will depend on your survival or not. So this was a project for surviving if needed for a certain time on apocalyptic world on your own house without going outside onto the danger. Like right now the coronavirus, it's better to stay home and not go out for getting contagious. For my materials, I use simple materials. I use plant trays. Those I make those. I make one plant tray. Then I use fertilizers, very important. Then I use seeds. Seeds I use beans, chilies, and basils. I chose beans because they are very high in protein, so that will uh, make us healthy. That will stay us healthy. Because it's very important to eat good in these type of situations because you need to be strong. You need to be strong for any virus, or if you need to fight against an apocalyptic thing, you're very strong. Very important. For my methodology. I investigated a lot on a lot of different prototypes, but at the end, I decided to make my own because if I'm growing my own crops, I need to know my method. I need to know what I'm looking for. So I decided to do a PVC pipe, making holes to a PVC pipe, and this is because I studied exactly how much did a plant needed in soil, and that's what I put there. So that's exactly made for growing crops indoor. Because then I made also a draining system. That later on I will show you how important is that. So that's why I made it because a lot of trays don't have a draining system as well. For my hypothesis, for the hypothesis, I think that plants are going to grow much faster because they are not going to need to find nutrients like in the wild. Instead, I am going to give the nutrients to them in the tray. I'm interested on how would the crops grow. Will they grow as same as outside, faster or slower? Then with my system, they are perfectly spread, and I think that like in 1.5 week from planted, the beans are going to expose themselves from the soil. It's very important to have the beans hydrated from the ground as well. So for the beans need to be hydrated because if not, they are not going to grow as harder. The preparation of seeds, one of the most important procedures when you are planting. This is because beans need to be hydrated when planted because if not, they're going to die instantly or they will not grow as effective. Um, I chose this system of because it's the most effective and the most easier. I just soak the beans as the right upper image. I soak the beans for a few hours, then get it that water, and then I put the beans with some water, like in the left image, for a few days. This will make the beans germinate, and when planted, they will grow stronger and faster. The same with the rest of the beans, as the chilies and the basils. For my watering system, I chose this easy system because first it was in my house, so I didn't had to invest on a water system. Second, it was very simple to use and effective. The making of the prototype. This is the hardest process of all because here we need to get all the studied things and applicate it into this. First, I made the holes perfectly separated because I studied that precisely and I know that was the perfect way of separating the plants. Then the most important part of the prototype, the watering system. You can see that on the right image. You can see some stripes on the bottom of it. This is very very important because when you water the plant consumes some of that water, but the other rest of that water stays on the bottom, and that bottom, between 1 week, that will be like soapy dirt, and that's very very bad for the plant. So that drains it. Prototype process. This was the first day I decorated a little bit of PVC pipe, but this was the first day I planted the seeds. Then this was like a few days later. You can see here that the most harder beans were germinated. You can see here like 7 days before, you can see a lot of plants grown. And this was the process till today. I'm very happy with how it turned because I grew 16 plants. With those 16 plants, a lot were beans, and that are a lot of food. The benefits of this prototype. Well, benefits of this prototype, that it was very very accurate with the way of draining. That was very very important because the beans didn't die by soaking it on. Strengths and weaknesses of indoor gardens. This applies for every indoor garden, every indoor garden, because they're all the same. They're the same idea. Indoor, planting seeds indoor. Some strengths is that we don't need to deal with pest issues because they're not like in the same environment as the rest of the plants, like in the wild. Second strength, that we can control the environment. We can control how much water, the temperature, how much sunlight does they receive, how much less sunlight they receive, how much fertilizers they get. But they also have some weaknesses. So some weaknesses may be that you've got pests, not pests like environmental pests, like you've got a cat or a dog, so that will take your garden down. And then another weaknesses you may have is that maybe the sun doesn't reach it like very very good, or the lighting system you have is not good. So maybe you are not going to get like what the plants need, like what they need, that they special need. And that's very important. The validity of this prototype, I think, is very high because first of all, it did results. Like I grew up 16 little plants of beans, chilies, and basils, so it does results. So I think that it's a very valid prototype. Also, I spent a lot of time researching on this, making prototypes, making things. At the end, I decided to do the PVC, but before that, that was hours of researching of natural wild on websites of people that have made gardens their whole lives, indoor gardens. So I think this is a very valid project. So if you want to try it, try my prototype. Give you a it will give you results because I already made it. It's compromised, comprobado. It's a good product. I also recommend doing it. It's very fun, and it's a good time. It's a good way to spend your time in the coronavirus. On the things I would improve, I will make a PVC pipe, a larger PVC pipe, for planting more seeds and a larger territory. Because I didn't thought about this, but now in a few weeks I need to change my plants from pot because those are very little. Those are just like for the first 4 weeks. Then I need to change them to a bigger one. So I will make one that is bigger than the one that is doesn't need to be changed again. That will grow there, and then there will harvest the crops. In general, this project was very cool. I enjoyed a lot my time by doing this. I think that it was a good invested time. I am going to try this project again, definitely by myself. I enjoyed this a lot. Thank you.